guys? It's John McNamara, host, running Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, real estate. My co-host, Mr.
Rodrigo, always happy to be here. And for everyone tuning in, please let us know how we're doing. Drop us a like, drop us a comment, share this video with your family, with your friends, with the neighbors. Give us some feedback, please.
Share with everybody.
Yes, sir.
So we got a special guest on today.
Hi.
Top producer, Virtue Real Estate Group.
Yes.
Jaimee Murphy.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for being on. We're excited to have you on.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. A little nervous, but it's all right.
We'll have some fun. So, cool. So tell us about you. Tell us about your story, how you got into real estate.
Yeah. So actually, I've only been in Vegas about 6 years. So born and raised in Huntington Beach, California. Love the beach, but love Vegas way more, to be honest with you. Oh. So I got into real estate. Actually, my whole family, give or take, was in real estate to some degree. So my dad's in the title industry. My sister's in like new home building, construction, development, all of that. The person that I was with, actually, when I moved here, was a mortgage loan officer. So I feel like I had real estate kind of in all facets, if you will. So I was like, it's just natural to jump into the one side of the real estate industry that nobody was in. So that's what landed me here.
Well, that's cool. Your family was in the business, and so what were some things that just kind of helped you translate into the business because of that?
I mean, honestly, well, my dad's like work ethic, I feel like, was everything. He's been in real estate literally my whole life, as long as I've known, obviously, him. But I feel like it was just being around it, to be honest. And it's such a relationship business, like for me at least, especially being in like the field that we're in. It's so relationship based. And I feel like I grew up with that. It's just kind of a background. I've also been in sales my whole life. So it just kind of was like, it makes sense to go that route. I've also always had a love for interior design. I've always said like my dream job, if I'm not in real estate, I'd be like a wedding planner, an event planner. Like I love the detail, the architecture, like the interior of just like really fine-tuned details. And so I feel like it was a good combo of the two between like sales and like passion a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's cool.
That's a good combination.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say this because usually a lot of Californians that move to Vegas, it's usually like, it's a transition.
I know.
So it's kind of cool for you to hear, like, I actually like it over in Vegas.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that.
Well, yeah, I feel like, so for me, and I don't take for granted where and how I grew up. Don't get me wrong. I'm still in Huntington Beach literally once a month. My sister and my nieces are there, so I'll always go back and have, a place to call home. But it's the people, like it's the people in Vegas for me that are so different. Like Huntington Beach, Orange County is such a clique kind of community, or at least it's grown to that to me. And Vegas, everybody's been so welcoming. Like it's been a lot easier to kind of dive into like a brand new state, a brand new city, and like meet people anywhere that I go. Huntington's not really like that anymore, at least for me. So, and it's nice too. Like I'm in Summerlin, obviously. So being in Summerlin, I'm close to downtown Summerlin, which is like the biggest, obviously, outdoor recreational mall. And that to me is almost like a mini Orange County. So if you've been to Orange County or like the Irvine Spectrum, it's actually very similar. So I feel like it's like the easiest transition to feel like home a little bit, where you're not so like outsider going from like beach to desert. Like it still felt like, okay, this reminds me a little bit of Orange County. Like I can do this.
That's great.
So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. Not the same thing. I'm not from California, but I'm originally from New York. But I agree. Like Vegas is a little bit more like a melting pot. Everybody's coming here.
So transient.
Nobody really knows each other that well. It felt more open. Where I felt, at least in New York, it's more about titles and clicks, whatever you want to call it. So
totally.
That's a reason why I love Vegas too.
No, everyone's been like so welcoming. Like, and obviously being in real estate, like I said, it's a relationship business. So like you naturally meet a lot of people like out the gates, and you're kind of forced to too. Like you're not going to make it in this industry unless you do. So it was like very much like this is your only option is to meet people, and it was easy to do. So
great.
Yeah.
Well, tell us more about that, because you're having a ton of success right now in the business. Congrats to you. Number 2 agent.
Going for number
Virtue
1.
Real Estate.
I'm like, I'm going for number 1. Rich, if you're watching this, I'm coming for you.
Not number 1, number 2.
Okay.
What does Ricky Bobby say?
Okay, number 1 on the team. Number 1, to be fair, on the team. Number 2 in the brokerage.
Oh, excuse me. Number 1 on the team.
So I still have number 1 somewhere.
Yeah, you do.
For now.
So tell us about that, because you're having all the success, and obviously you kind of you learned a lot from your family. So dive more into that, how you creating this for yourself.
I mean, honestly, I don't want to say it's luck. There's definitely some luck to it, to be honest with you. But I got into this industry when I got my license. I told myself I'm not going to be in real estate unless I'm in luxury real estate. So out the gates, I knew what my goal was going to be getting into it. I was like, I'm not going to be, which obviously I'll work with first-time home buyers or the lower end or whatever it may be. But my passion was in luxury because, again, I grew up around like great interior design, architecture, Huntington Beach, like all these high-end kind of like properties. And so I was like, that's really what I care about and I relate to. So I think for me, it's been honestly just the mindset. Like, I think I've had a lot of success because truly I feel like I have that mindset that like I am a luxury agent, I am a top agent, like, and I don't have a backup plan. I really don't. Like, that's all I got into the industry for, and that's all I'm doing. And so it's like, if you keep your head down and have that work ethic and that mindset, I feel like it pays off.
I love that.
Sure.
You burn the bridges, huh?
I do.
That's good. That's what I did when in real estate too, right? Make sure you don't have that plan B.
I know.
I love that you have that mindset because it's so big.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit more about that, because a lot of folks are, you have had a lot of success in luxury real estate.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are fear-based to break into that. So what do you do to work on your mindset daily, you know, that it has propelled you for that success?
I mean, I think like specifically with luxury and just in my experience, the biggest thing kind of attribute that I feel like you have to have and really dive into is patience, right? Like, you're not going to walk into the industry and out the gates have your first $1 million buyer. You're not going to have $5 million clients from month 1, 2, 3, 4, your first few years, to be honest with you. So I think just having patience and knowing that it's a much, much slower buildup than your first time home buyer, your average home price being $500,000, whatever it is. Like, if you go into it knowing, and I say this to like people too when they're like, oh, like I want to get my license. What are you thinking? Like, should I get my license? Is it worth it? And I'm like, look, if you're prepared to be broke for a year, and just transparently, seriously, if you're prepared to be broke for a year, do it. If you're not, it's not going to work. It's a slow build. You have to have patience.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a scary thing. It's a scary jump, but I feel like it's true. It's just like you have to keep your head down, do your processes, do your prospecting. It has to be a daily, consistent, full-time job. It's not a side gig.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because we always talk about making sure you got 6-12 months of reserves.
Yeah.
'Cause the business is hard to break
Totally.
through.
And you never know what market you're breaking into either, right? Like, you can get your license or like go to school, take your test, and the market's great. And then you get in and things shift at the drop of a dime and you're like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's nothing to sell, there's nothing to buy.
Yeah.
And I have no clients. So now what, right? It's like you either have to have that backup plan, but side gig isn't gonna work. So you have to have that patience, that mentality, like, hey, it may not really turn around for me for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's interesting stats right now, because I think originally it was 96% of folks that get in the business, they're out in the first 18
year?
months.
I know.
I think it's 98% now. 49% of agents didn't even do a deal this year already. So you're talking about, you prospect, you have some tactics, you know how to network. Dive more into that, you know, that you can talk to folks about.
yeah, so networking for me, honestly, has been the hardest part, especially because obviously I'm not from here, right? So it's like finding groups that I connect with, hobbies that I enjoy, interests that like relate to me. That's been a really challenging part. And obviously I'm on a team, and so I have great agents behind me and at the brokerage. But networking, I think, is like such a key to this industry, and it's something that I still struggle with. I struggle with my sphere. I struggle with people like getting to know me. And I think too, because real estate again is so relationship based, like there's such a fine line for me between private life and personal life. And so trying to blur the two, where I'm not just a salesperson but I'm a human behind it, is really challenging. So networking has been a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, it has. It's totally been a struggle. I put myself out there. I'm gonna as social as I can be, but I also think like educational events, the brokerage, the work culture that you have makes a really big impact. It's just, that's something that is, you've got to be uncomfortable with. And know that you're going into it being uncomfortable, like out of your comfort zone for sure. And that's something that like I still struggle with for sure. That's probably my biggest opportunity, I feel like, that I don't tap into as much as I probably should. Just because it's challenging to get out of your comfort zone, right? So that's been a struggle.
I want to stay in my bubble all the time.
Yeah. Like, I love to keep my private life private, but it's like, and on social media too, like we're always supposed to be, you know, show your brand, show yourself, like
Yeah.
be more than just business, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always like, okay, let me show this part of my life and this part, and then I'm like, is that too much?
Right.
Should I not? Like, is that too private? You know? And I'm like, who's watching it? Like, you definitely get in your head about it. So
Well, for sure. And I can tell you,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the business 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm introverted.
yeah.
I don't want to go network and meet people.
I know.
And it's a lot of effort for me. It
Well, and
always
I think
has. That's
to a
why I like
degree-
the prospecting. I like
Yeah.
the cold calls because then I can get in, get out.
Totally.
I don't have a ton of personal stuff on my socials.
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
And
Yeah.
I feel like to a degree, when you network in certain situations, it's super humbling, right? Because you're like, okay, wait, my sphere and my community isn't big enough to fuel my business. So now I have to step outside of that. It's like, oh, that's humbling. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I had more people in my corner that I didn't have to step outside of my circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think networking is challenging across the board
It
for
is.
sure, but it's rewarding too.
But it is.
And you never know who you're going to meet, like, not even just business wise, but like, it's, makes sense, especially coming from out of state. Like, you've got to network no matter what career you're in.
Yeah.
So, it's a given.
You always got to continue building,
Yeah.
no matter,
Yeah.
you've always got to build that
Yeah.
your top clientele, for sure. Mm-hmm. So I know you're big on mindset, you're big
Yeah.
on reading.
I love to read.
So-
I read too much.
Do you read stuff on mindset, or tell us more about that? Like,
I wish I did. I'm like, oh,
okay.
gosh, good
What
question.
book are you-
Next.
What book are you currently reading?
The Girl Who Was Taken.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
Nice.
Different route.
let's take a left turn.
I
real
know.
quick.
I'm like I read really dark crime, like disturbing novels. No, seriously, I do.
okay, nice.
I guess it's like a way to like check out of like your reality,
Yeah.
whatever.
True, yeah.
Don't judge me here.
Disconnect a little bit.
Yeah,
No judgment
for sure.
here.
No, no.
I do read like self-help and mindset books, and like I feel like on a routine basis, I'll probably read 1 or 2 of those every quarter.
Great.
But I actually really enjoy reading like seriously like crime or like thriller, like mystery, again, because it takes me away from like work, and I'm so like, again, to make it in this business, you're working 40 to 60 hours a week at a minimum. You have to be, especially your first few years. So for me, on my off time, I'm not out partying, doing all these crazy things. I'm like, I want to be in my bed by myself with a glass of wine and a good book. And like, that's just where I'm at. So,
That's nice.
Combo.
so I love like, I know, like a good like crime or mystery that takes me outside of the reality of what I'm in. But I don't know, I think mindset is like, it's not something you can read a book and be like, okay, it just clicked for me. Like it made sense. Like you have to practice your mindset. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and the more people you meet, especially being in this business too, like I think that teaches you about your mindset because you're again humbled by who you're working with and like the transactions that happen, the hiccups that come along. And it's like, you have to know that there's gonna be hiccups and that you're gonna have to shift your mindset at some point.
Yeah.
So it's a consistent thing that you've got to practice to have that positive mentality and know that like even if something goes sideways, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Right.
work itself out.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys get
It's
that
not
too.
the end of the world. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So many agents I think that though too. Like you
Yeah.
can have an appraisal that goes sideways or an inspection that goes sideways and they're like, oh, it's falling apart. And I'm like, no, if there's a will, there's a way.
Usually work itself out.
Yeah.
And I think you bring up a really good point because, folks that are really making the business, they do work the 40, 50, 60,
Yeah.
80 hours, whatever the heck it is. You know, they treat it like a real business.
Totally.
And I always tell my team is, give yourself a couple hours a night.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, whatever, because it's really, and I know I've done this for years, it's real easy to do this 24/7, 7 days
All
a
the
week.
time.
Right?
I don't even turn my phone on silent anymore.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. I'm like, I know, like even when I sleep, it's on loud.
Yeah.
Because you're so paranoid about like losing that one opportunity, that
Right.
one call.
Yeah.
Like you never know, you know?
For sure. And that's why schedule is so important, right? So
Yes.
you don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it'll be on a Saturday morning. I'm like, I should go in the office and
Yeah.
prospect because I feel
Yeah.
guilty, even though it's not in my schedule to go.
I know. Well, so Sunday football comes on, and I'm like, that's the only time that I'm like, should I mute my phone right now? I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe.
That's a yes.
Who's your team again?
New England Patriots.
Oh,
Patriots.
jeez. Oy. Okay.
Oof.
Okay.
Who's your
Okay.
team?
Niners.
Oh,
Niners
yes,
number
you
1,
said that.
Bills second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Who's yours?
I don't have one, but
Those
I'll go
are
with the
my second
Raiders.
Okay.
Local,
It's a, it's a-
represent.
yeah, safe a safe
bet.
team to have. Yeah, living in Vegas. I get it.
So you got to definitely go to a Bills Mafia
I know,
game.
I know, like going to the tailgate and like jump on the table.
Yeah. Whoa.
I've seen that so many times and I'm like, that's such a bucket list. Like, I have to. I have to, seriously.
Have you seen him get sprayed with ketchup Or
No.
like mustard? They act like they're a hot dog and someone's just spraying ketchup and
Look,
mustard
I'll
on
do
top of
whatever.
you. Like,
Honestly, if someone can get me to a Bills game with
Ooh,
great
you've
seats,
heard.
I'm like, whatever it takes.
Oh.
So I will jump on a table. You can spray me a head.
smack
That's
down
fine.
into a table. Yeah.
Those are good old days.
Well, I love New York too, so it'd be an excuse to go. But still, yeah.
Shout out Buffalo.
I know.
Shout out Buffalo.
I know.
Cool. So what I know you have a couple things, to attract high-end clients, what are some of those other, I know you've been doing emails.
Yeah. So I do a lot of email as far as just prospecting in general. I'm super specific to my farm, right? So I live in Summerlin. I farm Summerlin. I know Summerlin the best. Obviously, I'll work anywhere, but I feel like when it comes to attracting who I want to attract as far as a client, I'm just very particular with who I reach out to. It's a persistent follow-up. It's kind of an aggressive follow-up, if you will, especially in the luxury space too, because people are busy. A lot of them are business owners. A lot of them are CEOs. A lot of them travel half the time. And so not taking that personal, right? When someone doesn't get back to you or following up 3, 4, 5 times when you're like, hey, is it me? Like, did I drop the ball on something?
Yeah.
No, I'm just busy. I'm a business owner. This is my life, right? Like I'm not a priority to them at all. And so I think again, going back to mindset, that's one of the things in the luxury space and in the networking that you have to remember. And so I do a lot of emails. I do a lot of calls. I've done mailers kind of here and there, but it's really not a big kind of pillar of my business. I really just think especially being in the luxury space, you have to present yourself in a way that's going to attract the clientele you want to attract, right? Yeah. So if I'm walking around in a sweatshirt and flip-flops, I'm probably not going to attract a CEO, somebody that owns a business, somebody that's looking to buy $1 million, $2 million, property.
That makes sense.
And so it's just kind of being strategic and just mindful of that too, where I go, how I present myself, always looking like I'm at least put together, or just coming across in the professional way that I would hope somebody would look at me, right? Attracting the people that you want to attract and putting yourself out in that same kind of mirror image.
Yeah.
So that's something I try. I mean,
no, that's great advice, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone into real estate companies and folks are in a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what kind of clientele are you going to attract? And you're not taking the business very serious, and they tend not to work out.
Right.
And you hit it on the nose too, I think a lot of folks don't understand the business as well, as I think they just reach out once or twice. In reality, most of our clients come out the 10th, 12th time we've talked to them. I've had people 10 years don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, John, I'm ready to list my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the first call that they make.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you just got to hope you're top of mind when that moment
I think
happens.
it's just being persistent. I don't think people find it annoying. A lot of agents are they'll make 1 or 2 calls and they're like, oh, they didn't get back to me. Must be me. I'll take it personal, right?
Yeah.
And then they get upset about it. I don't think it's that. I think actually I've had more clients, and especially people that I don't know at all, where it's a cold outreach, right? That have actually reached back out and be like, hey, I'm going with you because I actually appreciate you being aggressive. I appreciate you being consistent. I appreciate you just not giving up.
Right.
And I feel like that's telling on especially on the listing side too. If you're being this aggressive just trying to get a hold of me, I can imagine how aggressive you're going to be trying to sell my house.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's it's not something you can take personal at all.
Yeah.
It's just part of the process.
Absolutely. You're not concerned about the no's. You're looking for the yes.
Yeah.
And for myself, I'm the same way. It's I feel so prideful when you go on that listing presentation. John, you've been hitting me up for years.
Yeah.
I felt obligated to go with you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not interviewing anybody else, So that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can
know.
tell you got your scripts dialed in too, the way you're hey, did I drop the ball on you? And then that's an automatic
I'm don't mean to bother you. And I'm I hope I'm bothering you.
No, because I've heard that before. Hey, if they're not reaching out. Hey, did I miss something? And then they'll be forced to reply back hey, no, this is just going on with my life. I'll reach out. So
well, you guys are pretty particular with your scripts too, right? How many touches do you guys have before you kind of give up on someone, right?
Never.
Yeah, never. we even have multiple numbers.
Never.
Yeah, so we can call you from 2 different cell phone numbers.
Yeah.
We have 2 numbers.
If you block me on
God.
one, I'm going to call you in the other. And then we have a landline, so
Yeah.
I should probably stop.
So are you the kind of
Don't give our
people
secrets.
that like if you email someone and they unsubscribe and you can see that they unsubscribe,
Yes.
do you resubscribe them?
No, I just
Okay.
No, we wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't resubscribe them, but I'll continue. Like if they unsubscribe to my emails, I know to go text.
Yeah.
So just play around with it.
Yeah.
There's people I could tell when someone blocked me, so I'll start calling them from a different line. And it's funny because it never gets brought up. Like they
they
answer,
forget.
you give an
Yeah.
update, you check in, and it's a great conversation.
Well,
You just
yeah,
move.
and it's usually just like out of like irritation, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't the best time. Let me just unsubscribe because
Yeah.
like it's not a priority right now, right?" But they'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's not a personal thing, and I feel like
No,
a lot of agents,
not at
especially
all.
new ones, take it so personal, and I'm like, it's not. Like this is a business to them as much as it is to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
think on the nose too is like, yeah, sometimes they're just having a bad day and you catch them at
Yeah.
the wrong time. I can't tell you how many times somebody is like, John, never call me again. 3 months later, they're calling me to list the house.
Yep.
And they totally
Yep.
forgot, you know?
I actually had that with a client one time who was like, "Don't ever call me. I'm never gonna buy or sell like with you, whatever." And I think it was like probably 2 or 3 months later, he sent me an invite to his daughter's like second birthday party.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh,
Wonderful.
Okay, amazing, amazing how that works out. You hated me 2 months ago, and now all of a sudden you're like, can you come to my daughter's party?"
Oh, that's
Did you,
funny.
did you go?
Of course. And I brought the best gift that there was. Like, you got to
Nice.
stand out somehow. Hey, it's
There we go.
networking.
Love that.
I know.
I am curious, anyone trying to, any real estate agent out there trying to
Yeah.
break into the luxury market.
Yeah.
What would you suggest? What would you recommend if you can give them some feedback?
Gosh, I wish I had really good feedback or answers to that, to be honest with you. Seriously, patience. Like, be patient with it. Don't think that it's going to happen overnight. It's not. I mean, I'm obviously very grateful and to be situated where I am with Darren. I'm obviously on the Darren Marcus group with Virtue. He's a very well-known name in luxury. And so I feel like just associating yourself with mentors or people that can really guide you to be in that specific space makes a huge difference. If you're trying to get into luxury too, and I did this when I was getting in, when you're interviewing with brokers or teams or whoever it may be, you need to be interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you, right? Like it's my business as much as it's his or any team lead.
Yeah.
And so I was very intentional with who I interviewed with who I reached out to and said, "Hey, I don't know if you're hiring, but I want to be on your team. You have a brand that I want to follow and replicate and like be a part of." So I think it's just being intentional with like what your goals are. Like you've got to be patient with it. No, it's not going to happen overnight. And really seek out, don't just kind of settle and be like, okay, I'll work my way there. Know that there's people around you that want to help you, that want to mentor you. And if you've got the mindset and the drive to do it, there's a ton of luxury agents and teams that would be happy to take you on, new or not.
Yeah,
But
for
you've got to be intentional with what you're looking for and what your end goal is. If you just want $1 million sale, like, that's not going to work. But if you want that to be your brand, then seek out someone where you're not going to have to reinvent that wheel. Like learn off of somebody that's done that, you know? And so like I said, I'm grateful that Darren is that mentor for me, and I've been with him for years and it's been incredible. And I'm still learning every day. Like you're going to have to learn every day, especially in the luxury space. Like luxury is not just a track home $500,000 property.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're going to be investing not only in yourself, but in education and the branding and quality finishes, building, like it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
So
it is.
yeah,
For
just
sure.
be intentional with it.
That's great feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I love to hear that. Yeah, have a mentor.
Yeah,
And
totally.
especially if you're interviewing teams or brokerages, ask them questions. Because I
Yeah.
know when somebody interviews for our team and they're asking me great questions and they have kind of a plan or goals, I want them on the team.
Yeah.
When I'm not getting like that, it's kind of like, okay, have a nice day. We'll talk to you later. So that's really good.
Yeah. Well, you want someone that's like hungry and driven too.
Yes.
You know, like you want someone that wants to succeed as much as you want to succeed. They're on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah, it's a big deal. Like I think I seeked out probably 5 or 6 top luxury agents when I first got my license. Like had never done a deal, and I was like, hey, I know that you do $100 million a year, but like, would you talk to me? Like, don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can say is no, especially when you're new.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
it's like just be intentional with what you're looking for. Like the
Out
worst they
there.
say is no, and then you work your way up. That's fine, but like seek out really what's going to match your brand and what you want for your own business. So, and just don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, that's
like
great
I always
advice.
say, I'm like, do it scared.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Always be a student too. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
keep learning. 20 years
Tom Ferry.
later. I'm still learning. Right?
We just went to
We
Tom
just
Ferry.
went.
I'm like, you've been how many years?
Yeah, got a lot of good nuggets there.
Not as many as we should have, but that's okay. We didn't make a few of the morning sessions, but we did our best.
That's how it goes. That's part of the
Yeah.
schedule.
Yeah.
It was like work, vacation, mix of both. It's
So
okay.
what are your goals for the next? What are your goals for the next 5 to 10 years?
I like that.
Oh gosh, I used to have rental properties actually out of state. I would love to get back to the point where I have a portfolio of real estate, but I would love for it to be in Vegas. So I'm kind of working towards that, getting a portfolio kind of under my belt. I just business-wise also would love to be at the point where I'm kind of on auto, right? Like I need a consistent amount of escrow, consistent amount of volume that's coming in with me just not blinking an eye. And me being able to seek out the business that I want that's harder to get where I still have residual coming in, right?
Yeah.
So I think my goal over the next 5 years is really just to build my brand in the luxury space, become a really known name in the luxury space. 10 years down the line, I want to have probably 5 or 6 licenses in various states. I want to have properties in various states. I love Chicago. I would love to live in Chicago. So I've been looking at getting education there for the real estate exam and whatnot. States that have like reciprocity, I think would be a great just kind of thing to have in my back pocket. So I think really 5 years is just building my brand, having that kind of on autopilot for me here in Vegas. 10 years would be branching that out into various states. Still having Vegas as a home base, but having other kind of areas in my back pocket.
That's great. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I know some good agents in Chicago too.
Send them my way.
I will,
Let's connect.
for sure.
Let's network.
Starts now.
I know. No,
So
literally.
I love those goals. So tell us more about, besides real estate, building a brand, which you're doing a great job of.
Thank you.
What do you do for fun when you're not selling real estate?
When I'm not reading a book,
When you're not reading with
yeah.
the wine glass next to you, yeah.
Watching your
I know.
reading your crime.
I know,
books
I
or
know.
whatever it
My
was.
really like morbid shows. I'm like, oh gosh, that's probably not a good look for me. That's okay. Honestly, I'm really boring. I feel like truly, like I wish I had like a good story for you or like a good hobby or something crazy. I go to the gym every day. I'm with my 2 dogs every day. Like I work like crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I'm in California once a month, and so that's I try to be once a month. That's a good break for me where I get to see my nieces and kind of check out for the day. This past summer, I actually traveled quite a bit, which was nice. I normally don't. I don't take off time ever. If you know me, you know that. So that was a big deal. I went to Aruba for my 30th, which was really fun. Just went to Chicago as well, and then a few trips kind of here and there around that. So traveling I really enjoy. I just haven't really worked that into my schedule.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of like super fun, interesting hobbies. I wish.
That's okay.
I watch football on Sundays. Like
My only hobby is
I guess,
football.
yeah.
So
I'm like,
totally
I was
can
gonna
relate.
say, what is yours? I'm like, football. Yeah. Last time I texted him, I'm like, hey, how do you get on like YouTube?
I'm like, I'm
Sunday
watching the
football?
game.
Yeah.
I can't talk.
He's on login red zone. I'm like, okay, I'll leave you alone.
So if you could go anywhere outside of the U.S. next, where would you go?
Okay, so I've always wanted to go to Africa.
Oh.
I would love
What
to
part?
so I want to do like a 1 week like safari in Kenya. Yes,
Oh, wow.
always wanted to do. And then there's like a little island off of, I don't even know what coast of Africa, called Seychelles. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Seychelles.
Okay.
I would love to do a week in Kenya and then a week off the coast in Seychelles.
Wow.
That would be like dream.
Dream.
But I also don't know that I could travel for 24 hours like there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
yeah,
Especially
it's a
like
long flight,
economy, I'm like, it's got to be first class if
no,
you're
no,
traveling, right? So I'm like, okay, that's a
You gotta get, like, the
$20,000
pod
flight.
and-
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Did you put that in the vision board?
You know what? I didn't. Let's do it again. Let's do another
add
one.
it.
Redo the vision
Second
board
I
project.
vision
know.
board.
I did leave my vision board at the office though, so I see it every day.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so did we.
I know. What did you didn't put travel on yours?
Well, I had some.
Did you?
Yeah, I want to go to Italy, France.
That's
somewhere
next
else.
stop or?
Next stop, yeah. I want to get back to Europe as soon as I can. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I was there 2023. Not last year, 2022.
Okay.
Sometime.
Never been to Europe. I feel like that's also on my bucket list.
Yeah, I was in Greece, Spain. in Netherlands, in Amsterdam.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
cool.
it was great.
I'm like, oh, I just got back
now
from California. He's always in Greece and Netherlands.
Peru
I'm like,
for a
wow.
month.
Oh,
Sorry.
bummer.
Typical Rodrigo.
I got to get away from the Mac team as much as I can.
I get it. All right, cool. Well, hey, I want to thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to thank the best co-host in the business, Mr. Rodrigo. If you guys are looking to buy or sell luxury real estate, Jaimee's your gal. Hit her up.
Hit me up.
Guys, this is Running Vegas. John McNamara. Take care of yourselves today.